You're listening to Time to Lean, and here's the song, episode 14. John and Phil talk for a while, and then write a song about something they talked about. Probably. Tonight's episode is brought to you by the letter V.
John is doing a live, we're recording John getting a drink, making a drink, I think. Well, maybe we'll edit this out. I already made a beverage. John didn't make a beverage. So I will do a vocal enactment of what I think is happening. So John is looking for something. He put something down, and now he's looking for another thing. Sometimes I make myself laugh. I don't. No one else will. That's okay. I thought this was going to go differently. I thought John was going to talk while he was making a drink and describe what he was doing. We're in different places. I don't know what he's doing. Okay, there was a clink. That's a glass or something. It sounded kind of metallic. It's Metallica. Oh, okay. That's his ice machine in his fancy space age fridge. He's getting some ice. I wonder what kind of cocktail he's making. All right, a bottle was opened. Oh, let's all guess what he's making. I think he's making a Vesper.
Okay, here we go.
Oh, all right. Oh, I can maybe add that to make that into a rhythm track for something. Oh, he can't hear me. This is kind of one of those like ambient sound recordings, like a nature recording that you might get, and then they add music to it, or like an environmental landscape, soundscape kind of thing going on. Except it's live from a suburban kitchen.
Did you get that?
Yes, and more. I thought you were going to describe what was happening, so I was just laughing really hard because...
We'll fix it later.
Wrong. If you survive that, you'll get a prize. We're all out of prizes.
Okay.
I didn't know if it would pick me up. I wasn't.
Well, the audience and I had some fun.
You guys had a moment.
Us guys. There.
That's better. Okay. Well, hi, Phil.
Hi. Tonight we're going to talk about toilets. No, I'm kidding.
That's what that reminded you of.
No.
Yeah, so let's get the drink part out of the way since you had to listen to all that.
Yeah. Well, so you made something, I'm guessing.
I made a Vesper.
That was my guess.
Not a Vespa, like the scooter, but the drink.
Did you know that Vespas run on Vespers? No.
You almost could. Is there enough alcohol in one?
Maybe.
Almost. It would run badly.
Oh. It might putter a little bit more than a regular Vespa.
To save everybody the trouble of looking it up on Wikipedia or something like that, this drink is a variation on the standard martini. It is a martini. I believe originated with the first James Bond novel, hence the name. Casino Royale was the name of the book. Bears little resemblance to the older film.
No,
the one with Peter Sellers in it.
That's just a cluster.
It's a variation on the standard James Bond martini, although it is shaken, not stirred, and it's got vodka and gin in it.
Three to one.
Yeah, it's like 3-to-1 gin versus vodka,
Right.
and uses a certain kind of sweet white wine, kind of like a vermouth.
Yeah, a little different.
The stuff I'm using is called Kochi Americano. Kochi is the brand name. And I think there's another brand, if you look it up, that's more traditional. But this one has almost a lemony flavor to it.
Yeah, I wonder, that other one's called Lillet or something like that.
Well, yeah, that's exactly
But
it.
I don't know what, because I made one earlier as well, not today, but last year. And I didn't have, I wanted to try it, but I didn't have this Lillet or any other equivalent. So I just put a little white wine and sweet white wine and something else. It was good, but it was different than what you made last time I was at your place. We had a Vesper. So there, good. Yum.
Yeah, it's good. And you throw a twist of lemon in it.
And we tried our best twist.
Oh, that was really sad. I was hoping one of us would do better at it.
I don't know. With more practice, I think we could get it.
Anyway, it's a nice variation if you like traditional martinis. It has a little bit of a citrusy note to it, if you will. It's very refreshing. And
Yeah, it's good.
If you find some version of this vermouth-like stuff, it's pretty easy to make.
Yeah.
And I like to. Good excuse to use the nice Boston shaker I got recently.
Yeah, that's pretty slick. Seals right up.
Stainless steel Boston style shaker. Yeah, it's great.
A Boston style shaker made in Japan. Ever since the 80s, the Japanese have been trying to take over our economy.
It's like 2 cups that sort of seal up together somehow.
Yep, they seal up. There's a smaller one and a larger one. Bartenders use them. This other style, which is traditionally used at home, is called a cobbler.
Well, that's probably what I have.
Named after Rapid City Central High School.
Oh, really?
Oh, no.
Oh, that explains a lot about our high school experience.
Yeah, that we used a lot of cobbler shakers at Shakey's.
Hey, go big red.
No, it's the style with the cap and the little strainer built into the top.
Yeah.
Yeah, and those I've used for years, and they can work well too. A lot of them tend to leak.
Well, they drip down the side after you pour.
Yeah,
I did finally figure out. I could never figure out how to get the top off very well because it was so cold. But I saw a bartender just tap it a little bit.
The material changes when the temperature changes.
It expands the molecular structure. No, but they tap it a little bit. That helps a lot. You don't want to tap too much to get a dent in it. But I can see why they they use the kind that you have because it still gets this seal, but because it's cold, it's cold, so it expands and connects, seals up.
Tune in next week on Dr. Science when he answers the question, why does it hurt when I pee?
But you don't get that.
Or the alternative version of that is instead of 2 stainless steel tumblers, if you will, you use the stainless steel for the large bottom piece and then like a pint glass for the top.
I've seen that. That's that probably more
too.
Often at bars.
Anyway, blah, blah, blah.
So that's
it's
from
a good drink.
Japan?
Nice. These are Japanese stainless steel. They're the ones that got reviewed best online, and I'm sure there are other good ones. But a lot of the reviews all say these do not leak.
That was they also made the Jinsu knives or whatever, didn't they? And the Sobakawa pillow.
The Ginsu knife. It's Ginsu.
Did I say Jinsu?
Yeah.
Okay, this one's called I Still Have a Problem with My G's.
There you go.
Oh, Lord. Well, good night, everybody.
God, we're already in trouble.
I think we need a break. No.
More drinks.
We just started.
Okay. Anyway, what are you drinking tonight?
Well, I just had some oh no, what was it? The Eagle Rare. That's what I had. I just had a little Eagle Rare.
Oh.
Nothing fancy. What else did we have when I was out there? We had that Bauhaus.
Oh, we had a little tasting. The big thing we had is some Blanton's.
Blanton's.
Bourbon,
Yes.
Which my mother-in-law was nice enough to get me for Christmas.
She scored a bottle somehow.
Yeah, that it's gotten very tough to get. The apparently the store she got it from only got 3 bottles in on that particular shipment.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy if you think about it.
They parse it out. Well, some places have a lottery.
Yeah, the stores here in the Twin Cities if you ever ask them, they say, yeah, we have so few that we have to have drawings for the opportunity to buy them.
Yeah.
Just the same way they do Pappy Van Winkle and some of the other ones that have gotten really popular.
Is that what you were on once? Weren't you on a lottery for a Pappy? Or was it Blanton's? Quite a while ago.
The last time I entered one of these, it was like they had a whole list of, tough to get ones that they were going to draw names for.
Ah.
I've never gotten opportunity to buy a Pappy, though.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not sure I've ever even seen a bottle of it except online. One of the guys one of my bands has had it.
Yeah.
Occasionally, some bars will have it at a ridiculously high price.
Oh, sure.
But, it's one of those, like, it's not nearly as good as what it costs.
No, I figured.
And a lot, if you look online, it's just, again, to remind people, this is a bourbon called Pappy Van Winkle's Private Reserve. And it's made by the Sazerac Company, who also makes Buffalo Trace and a bunch of other things. Blah, blah, blah.
I think I think I read that they're it's not like an amusement park, but I think they're making Sazerac is making what is it, $50 million New Orleans experience place.
New Orleans?
Yeah, Nolans.
Why there?
I don't know. I may have misread something.
Well, maybe that's where they're based. I don't know.
The narrator can check later.
Not tonight, kids. I have a date with conjoined twins.
Well, that's what I thought. We'll have to do a road trip.
So, on our last episode, we talked about Christmas.
Yeah.
Quite a bit. So, that was before Christmas, however, and all that. How was your Christmas and assorted holidays?
Oh, it was fine. I mean, it was, let's see. It's that time of year when you kind of want to get back into the routine a little bit, because it's just, you're all over the place. Like, I was working a day and then you don't work a day. And then even my son is 15 and he was ready to go back to school. So, I mean, they didn't really have a really long winter break. It's not as long of a winter break as like a college or something, but I think they were both kind of ready to get back. They didn't do an awful lot. For New Year's, we actually went out. We the kids are old enough to stay up a little later, of course. So we actually went to a party of a friend's that has some kids too, and they had some other people there. And I didn't get home till after. Well, it was about 12:30 when I went to bed, and I don't think I've stayed up for a New Year's to ring in the New Year like that for a long time. It was good. I mean, we didn't do stuff with my brother up north in Blaine, but we normally do because of scheduling and illnesses and different things like that. But we'll get together with them soon, hopefully. How about you? Well, yeah,
we'll get together soon.
You flew out to
Rapid City, the focal point of our podcast, apparently.
Well, that was a suggestion that on you posted
Matthew
what
P.
we should talk about.
Frequent listener and commenter Matthew P.
And he said we should talk about Rapid City.
And future guest, he has agreed to come on the show, by the way.
Ha ha. He doesn't know what he's getting into.
He does not know.
No, he does, actually. Never mind.
He, of all people, should know what he's getting into.
Well, we'll mix it up when he's on.
I think my next challenge is to convince Paul S.
Oh, to have him
he
on?
would be also great to have on the show.
Oh, I'd love to have him on. Yeah, right. Oh, our ratings would go up right there.
Oh, you put a Brit on there and it doubles overnight.
Some of what he does for a living, I don't think he could talk about, though. But maybe this isn't like he's a.
Well, we could just tell him to make some stuff up.
He's not a male prostitute or something, or a drug dealer. He's on the other side of the law.
So here's the deal. So when Matthew P is on, we will talk about the Vikings. And when Paul S is on, we'll talk about English football.
We know nothing. We'll let them talk because I don't know anything about it.
See?
Yeah. We'll have them both on, and they can debate which kind of football is better. Christine mentioned that we should talk about Diogenes.
Yeah, well, she took it back, I noticed. But
She did?
Her second comment was one that we might have a better chance of discussing in some amusing way would be the movie Zardoz.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
Which, did you know that it takes place in the year 2019?
Yes. Wait, so here we are. Get ready for the new...
Okay, so here's your homework, Phil. Watch it for next time.
Okay. We'll talk about it next time.
Okay, we'll both watch it. But I haven't seen it in many years.
It's no Satan's cheerleaders, but to each their own.
I've been meaning
I'm
to...
not sure I wanted to, but I'll take one for the team. I'll find it. Don't worry.
Is it Xardoz?
No, Z.
Z?
That takes you to a porn site.
Whoops. So Zardoz?
Zardoz.
Oh, I maybe I'm thinking of
Sean Connery Scotch.
Zardoz. It's like a anti-inflammatory, helps you sleep medicine.
Ask your doctor about Zardoz.
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 Go
to get your Z's.
Go to bed in nice red diaper-like pajamas.
With thongs.
Suspenders.
No, he has this funky leather thong that he wears.
Well, why wouldn't you? Oh, leather.
She's Sean Connery.
Who's going to wear a leather thong? That's not a good idea. Well, let's talk about leather thongs.
Oh, let's not.
I don't know anything about that.
I'll have to make another drink if you do that.
I haven't seen that either.
Let's see. So one of the sources of my movies here is, besides, the usual suspects, is DVD.com, a.k.a. Netflix, which used to be just Netflix.
DVD.com?
That's what it's called now, because they have to differentiate themselves from the streaming one that... You remember back in the ancient days...
When Netflix
there was
started.
this site called Netflix that sent you discs in the mail, right?
Right, I was on there.
Yeah, I used it for many years. I even have like 4 at a time.
Oh, jeez.
Sometimes. And they had this little mini scandal, which nobody listening will probably remember, but where they started to, if you started to, burn through them quickly enough, they
throttled it.
They throttle you, yeah. They'd make all the stuff on your queue say long wait or something like that.
Yeah.
And they kind of got in some hot water for that. But at some point, they did this little experimental thing that they were going to start offering streaming movies.
Right.
And they just had a few things, and it was just this add-on thing to your regular Netflix DVD subscription.
Yeah.
And then at some point, it flipped, and the DVD part almost died out. In fact, they tried to spin it off as a separate company with this awful name named Quickster, which is, whoever thought of that ought to be fired, or should have been. And they got a lot of crap for that. And quietly, they changed the name to DVD.com, which is this weird little subsection of Netflix, the streaming company, which is now, of course, as everybody knows, huge.
But can you have both packages at the same time?
Yeah, it's just it's still an add-on. I just pay a separate fee for that every month. And what I like about it is they have all this back catalog old stuff, especially on Blu-rays, that I can, of course, being the media hoarder that I am, I get them in the mail and I rip them to my Plex server.
Well, that's one thing I miss from having the DVD part was, you could get these really kind of obscure documentaries and films and things like that that aren't on Netflix.
Yeah, they still have a really deep catalog of old stuff.
Yeah.
And, it's not everything, but there's a lot of really interesting movies. Anyway, we will definitely revisit that. I don't feel like I can comment on it much since I barely remember it. It's been too long.
I think
we'll come back to it.
I've seen the, fashion, of course, and maybe an orgy scene or something. I can't remember.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those cult classic movies, dystopian future, that kind of stuff.
I may be confusing it with Caligula. Was Diogenes in that one? Okay, no. Anyway, we're all over the place.
Have we covered all of our comments?
And more.
Yay!
I think I need a break already. I'll be right back.
The only other follow-up before we take a break.
Yeah.
No break for you, Phil. John is a workaholic.
Other follow-up. At the end of our last episode, our song was a recycled one, as we sometimes do.
Oh, yeah. We didn't really give it any context.
No, we didn't explain. We mentioned it, but we didn't explain it. So, and I didn't record a little intro to it, so I thought maybe I'd explain it.
Okay.
So the song, if you remember, if you actually listen to it, is called Gold Wash. And what it is a... So back in the day, actually, this car wash, it's a car wash.
It was behind the Big D.
Yeah, which I think is still called Big D.
On
it's
Mount
on the
Rushmore
corner
Road
of
there?
Rushmore Road and Franklin Street, really close to where I grew up.
Sure.
And they had a car wash, and you go to the little automated thing, and the recorded voice, you would get your car wash, and they had the gold, silver, bronze, I think is how they did it. So depending on how much you wanted to spend. And if you selected it, for some reason, I never had the silver or the bronze. I always had the gold. Maybe that's the one that you got free when you filled up or something.
The gold wash. It's our finest wash.
Yeah, so the little voice would, you've selected the gold wash, our finest wash.
Well, it's like,
And I'm not really exaggerating.
no. I mean, South Dakotans probably do have that, a little bit of an accent like that, but although I've heard South Dakota is one of the most devoid of accent of any United States state, but there is a wash in there maybe, but I've never heard anybody pronounce it that distinctly except on that little, and we never recorded it. But then it went away one day, and I guess many years later that inspired us to write the song. So
Yeah, and so yes, it would say this thing, and the reason we did this is at some point my dad, it's Dad again. We just ought to call it.
He ran through the car wash.
Dads and booze.
He was drunk and ran through the car wash.
He did naked. No,
Gold wash
with a leather thong on.
Oh, I didn't need to picture that.
No, that's horrible.
I'm a very visual person. Unfortunately. No, you can leave it.
No, but one day, years ago, not that many years ago, what was it, 2009 or 10 or something, whenever that was.
Well,
I get a call from my late father, and hey, what's going on, Dad? Hey, how's it going? Hey, it's your son. Hi. And I sounded like Sean. No.
Hi, I'm Sean.
I'm gonna. Hi, I'm Sean. I'm gonna come back to that actually.
Oh,
so this is really bad.
You sound like me this episode.
This is the worst episode ever.
No, you're like me today. You're more random than. Anyway, what? So
okay, so he calls up and says, "They took away the gold wash."
That's right.
The first thing out of his mouth, and I was like, "What?"
That's what. Yeah,
and
that's
like
what it was.
and they changed it. It didn't. The recorded voice says like gold wash.
Wow.
The rest of us would say it. Wow. He was really bummed out about that.
They homogenized it or something.
And that inspired us to make that song. Which I gotta point out that collaborator Sean also is on that song too. So
yeah,
especially at the end when he's doing the little. I don't know. I think it's hilarious and
the car wash sound effect.
So beyond that, it's the car wash. There are a couple of references in the song that might sound a little strange. So one of the lines says there are no left turns at the gold wash.
Yeah.
That's a reference to the old practice of not letting people turn left after, 7 p.m. on Mount Rushmore Road to prevent cruisers from...
Yeah, because in small towns, cruising was the big thing back then. So they were trying to cut back on that. People had to turn. You had to turn to do the loop, and I don't know. They
drive through the neighborhoods, piss people off. So at some point, they put all these no left turn lights all along the street.
Which also was a political statement, I think.
Yeah, which that was our joke. Like, there are no left turns in Rapid City. You know, we're right wing. You know?
It's true. Except
Which
you could turn left by your house.
Yeah, well, I noticed it started a block after my house. So past my house, it was a free for all crime zone, hoodlums
Turning left.
Cruisers.
Did you ever cruise?
No,
I did a couple times. I
wasn't cool enough to cruise.
Neither was Phil, but that didn't stop him.
Got my VW bug and my yellow bug and turned up the wall of voodoo real loud and drove around.
Well, right there, that should have disqualified you right there.
Well, at one point, I don't know. I was kind of naive, but I will admit. But I was driving around and somebody was kind of following me. And it was a lady.
Was it Lloyd Lammers?
No. No. I wouldn't have stopped for him. I didn't before. But it was a lady. And so I finally stopped and I just, I guess you just stop at a parking lot and talk or something. I wasn't quite sure how cruising worked. And she and I are talking and I don't know. I didn't talk. She was an older lady and I didn't really know what to say to women hardly at all. No, I did, but
yes, you did.
But a stranger I didn't know. So I was like, well, what do you do for a living? And she said, well, I sell. And I said, oh, you're in sales? And she said, yeah. And there was these long awkward pauses. And, I mean, later on, maybe it was even 2 years later or something. I thought back, she was going to sell drugs or something. I don't know. Mm-hmm. I had no idea.
In the parking lot.
I was like, well, what do you sell?
She's in sales.
Well, what do you sell? And she said, well, stuff. Yeah. This isn't going anywhere.
If you have to ask, you don't get any.
This kid's a narc. But
I can just picture you driving around in that bug, blasting Mexican radio.
Oh, I had Fear. I don't know if you ever heard that band. It's kind of terrible, but
horrible.
I went through a Fear phase, a short Fear phase, which is kind of like heavy metal punk, and it's very crude, the lyrics, and I think the lead singer may have had some Nazi connect. I didn't know that at the time, and I could be wrong. But it was very crude and offensive, and I don't know. I think one of their songs was "Fresh Flesh." Fresh flesh oozing through the slime. But the one song they had, it was really funny. It was "New York's all right if you like saxophones," and then it had a saxophone solo, and I was like. I was just screaming, and I don't know. I thought that song was pretty funny. There were no Devo or Wall of Voodoo or anything like that, or Oingo Boingo. That was better. Well, I guess. Wow. Well, let's take a break.
Okay. Hey. I'm actually done with my Vesper. I'm gonna make something easier.
Make a Visper.
Okay.
Night. You're not back yet? Well, okay. This is a part of the show where I'm gonna make up a song. Once I was in a town, a small town cruising, no left turns, cruising for bruising. Found an old lady by the side of the road, and she gave me a cookie. Oh, I should log roll here. I have a new podcast, solo podcast, called Semaphore Hereinbefore, where I do little improv stories. It's a bite-sized podcast, or fun size, you could say. Episodes are about 7 minutes long, 5 to 10 minutes long. So check that out, Semaphore Hereinbefore. But maybe I'll have special guests on there too, and if you're interested, let us know. Or let me know. Let it snow. It's beginning to look a lot like death. Bernards! Oh, he's doing it in the shaker one. rum and Coca-Cola. Everybody should mail themselves 25 cents. This would help keep the United States Postal Service solvent. Hi. The sick bay. The audience and I were just having another moment together.
Oh, good. I had all my Vesper paraphernalia out, so I had to make another drink.
Oh, jeez, you're gonna be flying high.
Flying high, come fly with me.
Speaking of James Bond, you're an all-time high. Isn't that a James Bond song?
You could have been sky high.
Thunderdomed?
Yeah.
Thunderballs.
Thunderballs.
Chris Matthews is Agent James Balls.
So speaking of Chris Matthews, I am back in the kitchen tonight.
Back in the kitchen again.
I wasn't making martinis down in my office.
That would be a nice office. Kind of a madman setup.
Yeah, it could have its own
or Mad Men.
bar.
Yeah.
I bet you have never watched Mad Men.
No, but I don't even have a wet bar. I have a dry bar. What's a dry bar?
Oh, I guess a bar with no sink.
Oh,
isn't that the difference?
Maybe I didn't even know that was a thing. A sink would be nice.
I could have a dry bar down the stairs, but
yeah, someday.
I mentioned Sean's voice.
Yeah.
So you might, gentle listeners, you may have noticed at
Gentile.
some point, or Gentile, that we like to do little voices.
We never. I think we referred to what it means at some point. But...
Yeah, we probably did. But so the funny, so we usually associate that with our dear friend and relative Sean.
No, he's not my relative.
I said respectively.
I don't know how respectfully it is.
It's not very respectful at all. R-E-S-P-C-T.
You know, you're singing a lot more on the podcast than you said you would.
Am I breaking some kind of a deal?
I think you said
you'd never sing on it. I'll record a podcast with you, John, but you can't sing.
No, it was the other way around. I wanted you to sing on a song once. Maybe someday. You have a very good Louis Armstrong.
No, I can't do it right now because I'll sound like Yoda instead of Louis Armstrong.
Oh, right. We're going to do a Louis Armstrong as Yoda song.
As Yoda, yeah. I could have Louis Armstrong reciting lines from Empire Strikes Back. Go.
No, do Louis Armstrong lyrics in the Yoda grammar.
That would take some work. I can't function at that level right now.
Anyway, what did you think of this?
So the reason I'm getting around to this, so we're watching this. We've been watching British baking show. Right?
Oh yes,
I mentioned last episode.
BBS.
Everybody is watching this show. It's great. You know, I don't need to plug it, but it's so we got into the later seasons, and there is this guy on it who's one of the hosts, whose name is Noel, I think.
Yeah. Well, there's Paul Hollywood. I saw he's got a show on Netflix, a travel show in America or something.
No, really?
Yeah. He rides a motorcycle or something. His name is totally meant for the United States. I don't know what. Paul Hollywood. Maybe he's in porno. I don't know.
I think
Paul Hollywood's Soggy Bottoms.
Name is Noel Fielding. Yes, okay. His name is Noel Fielding.
Yeah.
I had formerly known from the sitcom The IT Crowd, which, if you have never seen it, it's great.
Wait,
please
watch
it.
He's on the Soggy Bottom show?
He is one of the hosts.
I didn't know. Oh, well,
on the later seasons.
Oh, okay, the alternate host. Oh, that's interesting.
There's two ladies at the first 3 or 4 seasons, and then it switches.
I've only seen a couple of the first few. Yeah, okay, I get it.
So at some point they switch it up, and
Noel's
it's another lady and Noel Fielding.
Okay, so which one is he? Was he the?
He wasn't one of the main characters. He had this occasional role as this goth who worked in the server room or something.
Oh
like
no,
that.
no! I saw a picture of him as a new host. I know,
Yeah.
that goth guy.
And I thought, well, okay, because the two ladies that are they're both comedians actually, who are in the first few seasons are really good. I like them a lot.
Sure.
And I at first I thought, oh, I don't know, because I thought they were great, but this guy is hilarious.
Oh, he was really funny. I happened to see one of those episodes that he's in.
Yeah.
And the IT crowd, and hilarious.
He is so funny. He's this weird goth guy that, of course, the thing is, I didn't realize he's actually is really a goth, and I think they just wrote the character based on him. But at the time, I didn't know who he was, so it just was just like, oh, this is funny dude playing a goth.
He plays himself.
Yeah, I think he basically plays himself. But on the baking show, like, so they do this little thing where at the beginning, which if you've seen the show, you know what I'm talking about. But right before they're about to start their competition part, they go ready, set, bake, and they all do it. They all say it in funny voices and things like that. And the ladies would do it in a certain way, and they go, let's say bake, whatever. But he often says it in a way. He goes, ready, set, bake. it doesn't. It's basically the Sean voice.
Well,
which I don't know if there should be a technical term for it, because it's not just Sean who does it. Apparently,
no.
This high tenor kind of
squished
tone,
pinched vocal cord sound.
Marvin the Martian. I don't know what it is.
Well, okay, so now you're getting in, because I like to do voices, and I've tried to.
It's almost a cartoony kind of voice, which we just call the Sean voice. And the first time that Mary Jane and I are sitting watching it, because truth be told, she when we make the little Sean voice on the podcast, she rolls her eyes. She says, oh, that's so dumb. And she could defend it if she'd ever come on the show, but she doesn't want to, so whatever. But we're watching the British baking show, and Noel Fielding goes, bake! and I just laugh my ass off. It's like, it's the Sean voice! Somebody else is doing it.
Well, okay, but this is something I thought about a little bit. I thought of really trying to map this out, like a voice tree. Like, so the Sean voice, the Martian, I'm trying to think of Shmoo. Remember Shmoo?
Oh, you're right. Shmoo is part of that family.
Shmoo, there's a voice family for that kind of squish voice. I'm trying to think of other voices. But there's other voices like you got the old Wild West kind of that kind of or Stubby. The voice that I came up with was a variation.
As a Western gruff kind of cowboy,
sure,
or to
sidekick
the extent,
thing, minor guy.
A certain offshoot of that would be maybe Yosemite Sam or something.
Sure,
like that.
Yeah, and Yosemite Sam is in that voice family of Yukon Cornelius from the Rudolph. And so, but then there's like other voices like,
Yukon Cornelius.
That sounded almost like that's another voice family.
Sorry, I was conflating.
No, you sounded like the Misfit Toys on that one. Remember the Jack in the Box or
the Charlie in the Box,
or the John in the Box, whatever it was.
Yep.
Okay,
that's why we're misfits.
There. See, that's a voice family. Then there's kind of the God Satan Don Pardo family, and
very important.
Well, that's a crucial one.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I've meant to chart it all out, but
you should really make a flow chart.
Oh, fine.
Do people know who Don Pardo is anymore?
Well, I do.
Okay.
That's all that matters. No, he was the
not the narrator.
Whoops. No, he was.
You wish.
What do they call? He's not an MC. He's not an MC, but he did the intro to Saturday Night Live and read the thing at the beginning. But
yeah, he was the announcer.
Announcer. That's the word I'm looking for.
For the original SNL, yes.
And he's one of my favorite announcers. One of my favorite voices. But I developed a character kind of based on him on our early tapes. So maybe we'll force people to listen to a scene someday. But
It's coming.
Dawn is coming.
Did you have a topic you wanted to address?
I don't know. We're almost done.
Summer jobs?
We're almost out of time.
Is that too much for us to do?
Well, we could. Yeah, we could try that.
Okay, let's talk about summer jobs. Everybody listening has probably had one. Or we used to call them shit jobs or whatever. And this is kind of the, high school / college student raise money for whatever job.
Yeah.
Which, I think we both had interesting ones in our high school and college careers. I think, I worked a lot of retail in my years. Some way more than I care to admit. But probably the most interesting one was probably if I say probably a few more times, it'll help. But
probably.
The horse thief campground.
Oh, yeah.
Which, it barely counts because the place was owned by family friends, the Rons.
Yep.
And I used to work there. I think I worked there 3 or 4 years.
3 or 4 summers.
Yeah, summers, of course. And quite frankly, I don't know how that place ever made money with the amount of stuff we wasted. And because, of course, at certain times, the Ron brothers, which one of who might be listening right now.
You never know.
Worked there, and also our friends Eric. And Eric is coming, by the way, is going to be on a future episode.
Well, he's like waiting for Godot. We always say that.
Yeah, I know. We're working on it. I think maybe at the next episode he'll be a guest. So
all right.
Stay tuned for that. That'll be exciting. He'll be able to tell us all about his jobs at the Roger Fry Paint and Supply Store.
I don't know. I haven't heard those.
If he's listening, he'll pipe up.
Groan.
Time to lean, and here's a song. More fun than listening to paint dry.
Or the 1880 train. Where he worked with Lee.
I've heard those stories. Yeah, he had to work with Lee.
He also worked at the campground one year.
Yeah. I've heard some of these stories.
And he worked at a cave, I think, once too. One of the crystal
That's right.
caves. So the campground was probably my most interesting shit job part of my career. Yours is probably Easy 101 FM.
Yeah, that was a weird experience.
You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I don't know. Do you want to go first? I could talk. So my first year of college, I went to Black Hills State College, back before all the colleges in South Dakota became universities, so it marketed better.
And they even came... I'm sorry, I'm interrupting.
No, go ahead.
At Black Hills State University, success is in your reach.
Oh, you are really singing a lot tonight. It's those Vespers.
There's a lot of booze in these things. Fuck.
Well, no,
I don't know why.
You
remember that stupid jingle.
You probably shouldn't have 2 Vespers and record a podcast. No,
sorry, I keep going.
No, but so I had a job on the weekends of I was the overnight DJ at Easy 101, 103 FM, keeping you company in the wee hours of the morning. And it was
we all need somebody to keep us company in the wee hours of the morning.
It was an easy listening station, and I had to work overnight. So it was. I remember drinking a lot of coffee to try to stay awake. There was a couple times, because back then it was huge hours and hours of music on reel-to-reels, and you'd pause it at certain points and then do a spot. There'd be a commercial, or at every hour or whatever, you'd have to say the station's letter, call name or whatever it was called. And I'm guessing you could time it if you could automate it a little bit, so you probably could have recorded yourself doing everything and just somehow programmed it so you wouldn't actually have to be awake all night. But I don't know, it was something to do, and I was young and dumb. And I recorded, there was a little tiny tape recorder that I had to actually record some of my spots. Then those were kind of critiqued or whatever by a supervisor. I guess you'd say critiqued. I get feedback on it. So, but sometimes I'd also record the music, and we used it quite a bit in our early tapes, soundtrack stuff. There was two studios. There was the main studio, then there was another little studio where they would do the LPs. I'm sure at one point it had flipped, but LPs, the only time I had to do that was Sunday evenings. I didn't necessarily work just overnights. But Sunday they had a 1940s themed show. What was it called? Darn it. Time. I don't remember what it's called, but they played 40s music. It wasn't just easy listening. And you get calls sometimes of certain songs. Somebody'd call in and, I liked when you played, as if I had any choice. It was just a huge tape, but there were easy listening songs and interspersed with vocals. And I lived for those, because you can only, that music was just, it was tough sometimes to sit through. And I would turn it down sometimes and just kind of sit there, but you had to kind of keep an ear out for it to hear when it went out, because you had to talk or whatever. It's like, Frank Sinatra or something. So I talk about Frank Sinatra a little bit. And then one day I started getting phone calls from a little light would come up, and because it didn't want to interrupt when you were talking, and play the music again and pick up the phone. And there was this lady, and she evidently had some kind of relationship with Frank, and so she'd talk about him a little bit. I wish I would have recorded the conversations, but I didn't.
That would be great.
Or at least remembered more of him, but I should have taken notes or something. But she was talking. There's that one song of Frank Sinatra sings of when I was 21.
It was a very good year.
It was a very good year.
Yep.
But
with Blue Bloods and
one of the lines I think is referring to a threesome. I don't know.
Yeah, it could be. That song has a lot of.
I heard
angles.
the song a lot, and I took it as him and two other ladies went upstairs and something or other. But anyway, I kind of envisioned that she was one of those two ladies, and I never asked her.
Did she ride in limousines?
I was too polite. No. Well, she lived in Spearfish, South Dakota, but maybe she had it sometime. Who knows where she had lived before?
See, don't you wish you could go back and explore that more and
just interview her or something?
Because probably there's some fascinating stuff.
Yeah, I mean, maybe she was making it up. I don't know. maybe none of it was true. I don't know. But anyway.
So I didn't, Phil, it's funny. I didn't realize you actually talked to people.
Well, not a lot, but there were call-ins. What the other time I got calls was the lady after me that I was supposed to go. I think it was like the early Monday morning farm report or something, stock report or something. And I had never done it. And the lady that was coming after me that always does it, Monday through Friday, had called in sick. And I was like, so somebody called me and said, okay, print it out off the AP, blah, blah, blah. We had this really old printer in a different room. I had the whole radio station to myself. It was really weird. But so I'd go to the printer room and print out this thing, and it was a bunch of numbers and letters, and I didn't know what to do with it. So I did the best I could. But I mean, the phone started going crazy, and I was like, I'm not going to answer it because I know I screwed it up, and farmers are pissed off, and you don't want to piss off. You don't want to piss off a farmer. And this lady runs in and takes off her coat, and she's like, "I'm feeling better," or something like that, So she redid it, and I was like, I felt bad because she couldn't stay home sick, but I don't know what I was doing. It's like A9 up 3
hog futures, or
I didn't know what the codes meant or anything. It was terrible, I'm sure. Anyway,
well, that's what they probably didn't pay you worth a shit.
Well, what did I get? Like $8 or $9 an hour if I worked overnight?
No, at that time that wasn't so bad.
In South Dakota, I think I got $9 an hour if I worked overnight.
Was minimum wage still $3.35 an hour then?
God,
it probably was. I think they held on to that minimum wage for. 30 years or something like that.
What is it now in South Dakota? This can't be much better.
As little as possible.
$7.75.
That is a great experience, though.
The other fun thing was doing a live simulcast. It was stressful, but I did the live simulcast for a 4th of July thing, where I was, I had to coordinate this whole thing where, like I was saying, the main studio is where we did most of the recording, but the LP section was in a smaller studio, and so we had a live remote that I had to patch in. A guy was at the fireworks display, my supervisor or whatever, who was another DJ. And I had to coordinate all these. The music was live and it's synchronized to the fireworks, so I had to get it just right, the timing.
Shit.
And that was worth more than $8 an hour, I think. But that hour felt like it felt like at least 3 hours, 4 hours.
Now you know how we feel.
Because I was so mentally, but it worked somehow. The guy was really happy, and I don't know why they. That must have been before I screwed up the farm report, or they wouldn't have trusted me with that. So if anyone's listening, if any of you old farmers, I apologize for screwing up your Monday morning farm report.
Wow.
Oh, there's some Brugger stories too. I don't know. The one Brugger story I remember in particular was because when you're baking, you have an apron and you're dealing with the water a lot because you spray down the slats and you kind of get wet and you're sort of damp. You're sort of damp for hours basically. And I remember another baker, his name was Matt, who I think on his breaks he'd smoke pot. He always seemed kind of stoned, and even in the morning, wake and bake. But he was like, I one day he pulled me aside and he said, I'm uncomfortable talking to you about this. And I was like, oh God, what is he going to come out or something? I don't know what was going to go on. I was naive, so I didn't have any idea what he might say. But basically what he said is like, I got this rash thing on my crotch that won't go away. And I said, oh, it's swamp rot. You have swamp rot. That's what they used to call it, NAM. So I told him how to get rid of that. But because you're
Wait. How did you know about it, and how did you know how to get rid of it?
Because I had it earlier.
Oh, shit.
Because your crotch is like damp for hours every day, all day long.
Yeah.
I didn't have it. I'm not comparing baking to being in NAM or NOM, but I can't.
Were you in the shit?
I was in the shit. But anyway, I don't know. I said, yeah, you got to get this spray, or I can't remember what it was. But anyway, so that's the Brugger. there were other Brugger stories, like getting pissed off and going into the, having a bad customer experience or something, and go into the walk-in cooler and scream your head off because nobody could hear you when you were in there. It's like, son of a bitch of love. Or you could sing in there to release stress. Oh.
Okay, Phil, do you have a recommendation for this week?
Bitter Dregs. I recommend Bitter Dregs. I recommend John's. I recommend my new podcast. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, no, seriously, you should plug it.
Oh, I already talked about that when you were making a drink.
No, really?
I did, yeah. What a recommendation? Oh, what? That Sneakers was kind of fun. When we watched, when I was at your house last, we watched Sneakers.
So I made Phil watch the 1992 movie Sneakers.
Yeah, it was kind of a
Robert Redford.
I guess you described it as kind of a capers movie. You get a bunch of stars come together and have this. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. It holds up in a way though that a lot of other movies at that time that tried to talk on up and coming things probably wouldn't have. But
yeah,
because it talks about. Information is more important than governments and different things like that. That was kind of prescient, but it's lighthearted. But and Dan Aykroyd, he plays kind of a guy on the spectrum or something, and tech guy and conspiracy guy, and Sidney Poitier is in it, and he's good in everything. And of course, speaking of Sean, James Earl Jones has a cameo at the end. And so what was that about when you saw it? When you saw the movie with Sean?
Picture 1992, and we were sitting in the Elks Theater in Rapid City, South Dakota. Trying to tie it up here.
After college.
Yeah, that last year there we're all about to graduate.
Sure. Well, Lee and I called that period of our lives after college. We well, I guess he was still in college, but we called it floaters. We were kind of like floaters. A floater was a term for when you're a bagel baker, when you do the, with water. You boil some water with malt to get that nice crust and sheen. And every now and then you'd get this floater, which was sort of a just kind of hanging out thing that probably didn't. I'm trying to remember if it didn't turn out right or something. It had too much of something, or it was in there too long. So we would just say, well, we're floaters. That was kind of what we came up with, but. We thought it would make a nice movie, but we never. I think probably somebody else did it and called it Clerks, but I don't know. But we had a movie idea about it.
For some reason, Sean and I and others might have been present. Maybe Rob. No, Rob wasn't there. I'm sure he was more productive. But we're sitting in the Elks Theater. I don't know why I remember it was at the Elks, but I'm pretty sure it was. We're watching this movie, and James Earl Jones appears near the end, and Sean just yells out, "Oh my God, it's James Earl Jones!" And everybody just like, what the fuck?
What is wrong with this guy? And none of us could tell him. No, but yeah, hilarious. I remember over the years hearing that story, but that became one of our taglines or whatever. Another thing we're watching right now is Blue Planet 2, which I don't know how old that is, but that's got David Attenborough's narrating again. And what about you?
We're still watching the baking show.
And Getting Baked.
Getting Baked. No. If I haven't mentioned it before, watch The Good Place.
Oh, do you like that?
I really like it, yes.
My daughter was watching it for a while. I think she watched all that was on Netflix or whatever, and she liked it.
Check it out.
Well, yes. I saw part of the first one, and I thought, well, this could be interesting, but I never went with it anymore. But yeah, you like it, huh?
I like it a lot. And speaking as a person who is not somebody who used to watch Cheers all the time with
Ted Danson,
he's great in this show.
Oh, well, he's got this nice coif of white hair.
He's looking good, and the show is really quite interesting and has a lot of surprising depth to it.
Okay,
and it's very funny, very clever. Yeah, I would highly recommend, if you haven't checked it out, check it out.
It's no highway to heaven. My favorite Ted Danson thing is I don't think he was in much after Cheers and had his whatever phase, but I remember when he was dating Whoopi Goldberg for a couple weeks there or something.
Oh,
do you remember that? They were just like crazy like kids or something. It was really funny. I don't know, but I don't think maybe that was only for a couple weeks. But maybe that's why his hair got the shock of his hair turned gray. Oh, my version of the Vesper I called a Visper.
Yes. Why is it called a Visper?
Is it? I don't know. Is that kind of a Scandinavian way to say? Well, like I have an oldie fashion and now I have a Visper.
You should post it on our Facebook.
Maybe I will. I posted it on my Facebook, but I didn't post it on the page Facebook.
And just as long as we're talking about social media,
no.
Make sure you not only like us on Facebook, but also go to the iTunes store and leave a review for us.
Yes, that would be helpful. I think we have a couple reviews, but more reviews would be nice. And
yes, please.
And you can be honest, but kind.
Because we're past 700 downloads now, and I know it's not just the two of us. Somebody is listening.
Even if we download it on every freaking device we have.
I know, I really try, and I can't get my mom to do it. Or
you should have just borrowed her phone and set it so it started downloading so we could get 710. That's why we're at 700.
Every time I get a chance, I was like, let me see your phone. I'm going to subscribe you to our podcast.
Well, and it's her birthday yesterday? Today, right? Happy birthday.
My mom's
John's
birthday is today. Hi, happy birthday if you're listening to this. That's awkward.
The poor suffering moms. My mom never quite got my humor. But she figured out later on that other people thought I was funny, so I must be funny.
Must be.
Well, when you grow up, I think the idea was, it's kind of like Sean would say, oh, nothing you do is surprising, because it's like everything I did was kind of crazy or whatever. Not everything. My mom, that's just the way I was, but then she realized from seeing other people's reactions that I was something.
A comedy genius.
I don't know. I've been called that once, but I don't know. That guy was... Oh. That was the old days. I'm nowhere near as funny as I used to be.
I gotta go make tacos.
I think you need to make another Vesper.
No.
It's taco.
Way too much.
It's Taco Thursday at John's Kitchen.
This is terrible. God, too much booze. Good night, everybody.
Good night, John. Good night, John boy.
And here's the song.
Take 2 Vespers and call me in the morning. Just not too early, 'cause I'm sleeping it off. 1 for my headache and 1 for my heartache. Maybe another for my persistent cough. I drink like a British spy, but when I'm on the beach, the birds pass me by. When I play cards, I'm dealt the dead man's hand. Maybe I'm better off here in the band, 'cause it's all about the bass, or so the song says. So I'll take 2 Vespers, that's what I fool as. Take 2 Vespers and call me in the morning. Just not too early, 'cause I'm sleeping it off.